Good morning, good morning. How are you doing, people? And welcome to another episode of the Dr. Will Show, where we have the discussions that inform, entertain, and empower educators to be the change. I'm your host, Dr. Will, and I am here with Sarah Thomas, aka Sarah the Teacher. How are you doing, Sarah?
Hey, I'm doing great, Dr. Will. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. It's Saturday. Yesterday, that Friday felt so good. I was like, it's time to go home,
Totally.
So it is. Next month, you will be Sarah the Doctor. I hope you change your Twitter name to Sarah the Doctor. That'd be so cool.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Maybe I don't know. Anything can happen, but I'm just excited to cross that finish line once it comes. So.
Oh yeah, it's going to be fantastic, fantastic. Because my Twitter, uh, it took me a little bit before I changed my name. I still had People God as my Twitter, but I just started asking people on Twitter, like, should I change my name? Should I do this? And I asked people to reach out and say, look, go ahead and slap that doctor on there to brand yourself for the next stage of your life. And so that's where that came, that's how that came up.
Right. Totally.
Oh,
Yeah, it is a new chapter. Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to that one.
oh yeah, oh yeah. See, too bad you won't be too close, because I've been one of them people that go to the graduations that they say don't do. I'd be like, Sarah Thomas. I'm like, yay! I'll be done.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, when I go to, it's always people that do that. They did that in mine too. But yeah, I'd have been one of those people when they called your name. I'd have been just showing out. So people,
Yeah.
as you can tell, we've known each other a long time. So we've got a little off track on the show this morning, but we will be talking about Edumatch. And the reason I want to have Sarah on is because Edumatch has now gone out of the stratosphere, making moves. And for those who not know about it, this is your time to learn and be a part of the movement. And then hopefully, as this goes out on different channels, other people will now be brought into the fold. On the show, would you please introduce yourself, Sarah?
Absolutely. Well, hello, Dr. Will. Hello again, and thank you to everyone. Well, thank you to you for having me, and thank you to everybody listening. My name is Sarah Thomas, and it is my 13th year in education. So, 13 years, lucky number 13. So, I'm very excited for that. By day, I'm a regional technology coordinator. I work in a large district in Maryland, and I'm part of a team that supports our 200 some schools in our district. Over the moon about that, definitely helping teachers and administrators, secretarial staff integrate technology into their practice to get the best results. And by night, as you said, Dr. Will, I run Edumatch, which is an organization, grassroots organization founded almost 3 years ago. It's almost the birthday of Edumatch. So yeah, it's been quite a ride, and I'm looking forward to the next stages of that as well.
Awesome, awesome. So, what is Edumatch? I remember when you first launched, you're like, "What? No, this is not a dating site. It's for us to, it's educators get connected." So, how would you define Edumatch, and what is the purpose of the organization?
Absolutely. Well, it started out as just kind of like a what if. It was like half serious. I was speaking with a friend on Voxer on a Friday night, and just kind of the idea came up. She started saying stuff that reminded me of something that my cousin said about how he used to do his math classroom. So I just figured that there might be a way to connect educators along similar lines of interest. So I put out a tweet and set up a Twitter account. Somebody in Australia hit me back right away and said that he was willing to give it a shot. So at the end of the day, I checked in with him, and he said that he met a lot of really cool people. So I was just like, okay, well, let me continue this. So the same friend I was talking to was just like, you need a website now. And I was just like, yes, we do. So I went ahead and built that website probably that next day. I remember that was September 27th, the day that the website went up. And as people signed up, then, more people started chiming in with their ideas. And so it's really member driven. And a lot of the things that we do have been ideas that people have said, this would be cool if blah, blah, blah. And so we tried it. and if it worked, we kept it. So so we've expanded, and now it's like a network of about 27,000, if I'm not mistaken, educators around the world. Participating on different platforms. Obviously, not all 27,000 are active at a time, but we have like our power users. We have maybe about like 250, 300 or so at our core that are just very, very involved. And people kind of come in whenever they can, and whenever things get a little hectic, they might step away, but they're always welcome to come back. And in that time, we have done so many things together. We've run ed camps. We do a weekly podcast, and Dr. Will, you've moderated a few episodes for us, so thank you for that. In addition, let me see, our Voxer group is always going. We have two now. So the second one started up in February. And probably the part that excites me the most is that we also have ventured into publishing. So started off with a guest blog where we have submissions from all over the world, literally, and from students and from teachers. And in addition, we have started putting out some books. So we put out two so far, two crowdsourced books, and we're working on a third one, which will be released in December of this year. And also, we have some solo people working on their own books as well. So very excited.
Awesome, awesome. Look at her. She doing it Jay-Z style with the books and everything. So that's all good. That's all good. I am going to be working on a book myself with Dr. Lauren Tucker. And we're going to self-publish this bad boy. Yes. Because I'm not going through the publishers because they don't want to pay anybody up front. And if I'm gonna do the work, I'm gonna get my money. You know what I'm saying? So so if I'm gonna get, if I'm gonna wait till a book sales to get money, then I'm gonna self-publish it and get the money myself instead of waiting for someone to send me a check on 15% per book. 15% book. Yes. I mean, damn. They robbing folk. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah. I'm like, woo.
Yeah, that's pretty steep right there. 15%. Ouch.
Yeah. I know this. So publishers, I'm not gonna call your name out there because you know who you are. But if you see this, understand you're robbing people for their publishing, just like record companies do to rappers and stuff. All right, let you know you're robbing people for their publishing. And like I'm going, Master P, Jay-Z selling CDs out the trunk. That's what I'm doing. I'm about to make my money. So I don't know where this podcast is going at this point. But once you start with the idea you're going and you see that it's growing, you now have to have a plan, and you got to work the plan in order for this organization to be successful, sustainable, and scalable. You sit down and say, or what did you do to say for the next 6 months, the next year, this is what Edumatch is going to do. These are the projects we're going to participate with, and these are some of the partnerships that we may look for.
See, that's a good question, because the thing about Edumatch is funny. A lot of things are just kind of like what I like to call magical moments. Like a great idea will come up, and then you have that split second to decide, hey, is this something that I'm going to do, or is it something that I'm just going to let fizzle back out into the atmosphere? So, when those moments come along, you just got to grab them and see where they go. So it's funny because I'm a Virgo, and I tend to plan. Like, I don't know if I believe in those astrological signs, but one thing that is true that they say of Virgo that's very true of my personality as well is that I plan things to a T. But with Edumatch, it's been a lot more kind of free flowing, like in terms of just living by those magical moments, like somebody saying, hey, let's try this, and I'm just like, okay, let's try it. And so I mean that's kind of been how it's grown. I would say that the publishing thing has probably been one of the most planned out things, because that was just kind of putting feelers out in the community, seeing if people were interested, and they were, and then so I started the process with that. There's another thing that we're currently kind of planning out and rolling it out gradually, which is badging / micro credentialing. So definitely we do our weekly tweet and talks, like our podcast, where people like tweet along or participate in the comments on YouTube Live. So definitely trying to extend that learning and to you know, attach opportunities um, to extend that learning, so people can like complete a challenge and then submit their evidence. So that is like, I keep on saying every week, it's almost ready.
Okay, you froze up a little bit. So as going with the moment that you made, you say that you've done, and you look at these magical moments. You've gone out and done what, quite honestly, I've never heard any educator in our space do, and that you've gone out and you've gotten a trademark.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy, I love that, because you know, I mean, because it's one thing to create something and to put it out there and you watch it grow, but there's another thing is to mind your money and mind your business, mind your brand, and to get that trademark will protect you and allow you to grow to that next level. What made you decide to get that trademark, and what was that process like?
There were a lot of factors kind of going into the whole trademark thing. What we're doing with Edumatch, you know, it's not anything brand new. You know, there's been podcasts before, there's been Twitter chats before, there's been different Voxer groups before, and things of that nature. But when someone hears the name Edumatch, then like I want them to feel that sense of community, that sense of family. That, you know, the members, like everyone who comes in just leaves the part of themselves, and that is what has allowed us to really grow, and allowed us to, you know, to connect at a deeper level. So when someone hears that name Edumatch, I want them to associate that kind of feeling with our organization. um so so that was pretty much the basic premise behind that. Like I really don't mind, like, you know, if somebody wants to create something similar, that is, the more the merrier. You know, I think like the more opportunities to connect out there, the better it is for everybody. So there's nothing proprietary to Edumatch, but just the name. I want that name to stand for something, and I want that to you know, I definitely want that name to stand for something. So that's why that was pretty much the reason why I chose to trademark it. And also because, you know, we started going into books. That was kind of a secondary reason. That was the effect of looking for the trademark, because you have to have something that you have to have a good or a service, right? And Edumatch is totally free to educators. So even the books that we do, we put them out for free. Like the crowdsourced books, we put them out for free. I can't say the same necessarily for the solo books, but for the crowdsourced books, there's a free version, and, you know, there's also other options if people want to have a preference for like Kindle or for a hard book. Then of course, you know, those cost money to make, so we sell those pretty much at cost. But the information is free. Like, it's all about the free exchange of information. But in order to have a trademark, then you have to have a good or a service. So the books actually came by proxy, because I felt like that was the one thing that everybody was saying, you know, oh, I want to be a published author. Oh, I want to be a published author. So hearing that over and over and over again, and seeing that that's one of the categories where you can get a trademark, then, you know, then that's.
I love that. I love that. Look out for you people. You're going to be watching so-and-so book out there via Edumatch Publishing. I'm telling you, I'm so excited for you.
Thank you, Dr. Will. Appreciate
It's
that.
going
And
to
I
be,
appreciate being part
you're
of the
welcome.
family. You were like one of the first people to sign up.
Yeah, but you're leading this thing, you balling out. So you know, that's what I really love about it, particularly, you know, when you look at this ed tech landscape, and we've talked about this in terms of the lack of diversity that goes on when people list, oh, these 25 educators to follow, or when organizations look to write these pieces, who do they reach out to speak to, or whatever. So to see you actually, building something and it's growing, and it has the headwind behind it. That is awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Such a fan. Such a fan. So when
Likewise.
you, thank you. So as you are, you mentioned earlier you have the podcast show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What made you decide? Because I know you have the blog, and your blog features people on a regular basis, a blog post that they've written, and you feature other blogs as well. So, what made you jump into podcasting, and how do you decide which topics to tackle?
So the podcast is crowdsourced. Just pretty much sometimes topic might come up in the Voxer group, and someone's like brings a conversation about X, Y, and Z, and we're just like, oh, that'd be a really great tweet and talk. That so sometimes some of the episodes come from that. I set up a Google form where people can like put whatever topic they're interested in. And some of the topics come from that. Some of the topics come from me just meeting somebody and saying, oh, can you share more to our community about that? But the idea for the podcast actually came from Tammy Neal and Amanda Rogers. And I believe also Melissa Eddington. I remember having a conversation with a whole bunch of people in a different boxing group that was kind of like an Edumatch offshoot. But I know that I know that they had mentioned about doing like a tweet and talk, because Tammy and I had done an event for Connected Educator Month with our friend Ashley Hurley, and we had a Google Hangout on air paired with a Twitter chat. And I remember um, Tammy and Amanda, and I believe Melissa saying, oh, this would be something cool for Edumatch. And I was just like, yeah, let's do it. And so that that is where the Tweet and Talk came from. And Tammy actually came up with the name. I think it was Tammy who came up with the name Tweet and Talk. And we've just kept it going. And now it's about to be the 100th episode. Actually, I think there might be a little more than 100 episodes now that I think about it, but it's episode number 100 that's coming up. And we've also started doing special episodes of Tweet and Talks with like an individual person or a specific group, because the Tweet and Talks are crowdsourced. So anyone who is an educator who has an interest in the topic can sign up to be on a panel. So we have those that go on like almost every week. Taking a little break this week because tomorrow's my birthday, so I'm gonna be with my fam. So we won't have one tomorrow, but we are having a special episode on Monday with John Carippo of Q. So with these special episodes, and we kind of go in depth into a particular person's story, because we're all about sharing the stories. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And now what's very interesting about your podcast versus, let's say, mine, because mine is very low tech, but yours isn't. So you have a lot of things going on in the background, and you have your podcast being shot from here to there and there and here. So how do you get all that thing? I mean, how did you get all that thing set up, and what was the plan behind doing all of that?
Well, right now, the format has evolved a couple times. Like we started out doing a straight Google Google Hangout on air, and then that switched over to YouTube Live. So we did it on YouTube Live, and then I was chatting with another one of my friends who told me about Zoom. Like I had seen Zoom, but I hadn't really explored it. And she was just like, "Oh yeah, like you can go straight to YouTube and straight to Facebook Live on Zoom." And I was like, "Facebook Live? Oh, I've never done that." But then I found out that required like um, a subscription, a special kind of subscription, because I did go for the pro. Um, but it required like an additional subscription. I was just like, I don't know about that. So what I've been doing has been when we get over like 10 guests, then we'll still do a Zoom, but we'll go through OBS, like this encoder, and just kind of push the Zoom through there and stream it out through, and that way it goes to YouTube. There's another thing. There's a site called Restream.io, so it can also go to simultaneously. I haven't yet been able to get it to go to Facebook Live. I know that you could like pay some money and add that option on. I tried that, but I couldn't figure it out. So, but maybe one day.
Awesome, awesome. See, I'm still doing old school, low tech. At some point in time, I think I'm going to have to just jump all in with the podcast. Okay, let me just invest this money and do all that stuff. But
oh, you are killing it. No, you are killing it. And I say, if it's not broke, then you don't have to fix it.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So from the podcast, and things are awesome. You're working at social media. You're building your base. You're jumping to publishing. You have your crowdsource book. How did you decide, I guess, which authors to put in that first book, and what was your game plan in actually getting that book put together?
For the first book, then that was kind of a scary time for me because I love taking risks, but I only love taking risks like when I know that nobody else is going to lose anything. Like I can't if people have a lot of time invested, money invested, etc. I tend not to do just a sure thing. So for this first crowdsource book, then I was terrified because I asked people to write a chapter and I was just like, guys, I have absolutely no idea if this is going to work. Like we can try it and see, but if it doesn't work, then then at least we tried, right? And so I was very very kind of transparent with those hesitant feelings like at the beginning, because I mean there was no money involved, but still, that time is like probably our most valuable resource. So I really didn't want to waste these people's time and ask them to write something that would never pan out in the way that we had planned. So I was terrified, but it did work out, and I still, like, I'm still in shock that that they just, the entire time they were just like, this is cool, we got this, we got you, like, and that just meant like the world to me, that they were willing to take this risk. But the way that we found the authors is that I really wanted it to be kind of like an Edumatch thing. So just like Edumatch is open to anyone who wants to join us who's in education, um like how you were saying earlier, there's like these lists of XYZ people that, everyone must follow or whatever. And I'm not really a list person. Like, I feel like all of us have something to share. All of us have a story. So if you're willing to tell your story, somebody out there is willing to listen to it, and somebody out there will learn from it. So just pretty much opened up this forum to the members of the Edumatch community. That very first time we started off mainly in the Voxer groups, because I just wanted to prototype it and not like put it out there publicly in case it didn't work this first time. So just through the Voxer groups, and also to our bloggers, anyone who has submitted to the guest blog, then just kind of put it out there, and got back several people who were interested, and they filled out the form, and then template, they wrote their chapter. Then I put out another call for like editors, chapter editors. So a lot of people responded to that. I think about maybe 50 or so. And it was peer edited, and then after that, I just pulled it off of Google Docs and formatted it in Microsoft Word. And you know me, I'm a Google fangirl. So it was a learning curve to learn how to format in Microsoft Word, because I mean, even though they are very similar, there's some different functionality in Microsoft Word, particularly when you get into the formatting part of it. So I had to get very technical, and so that was a great learning experience as well. So yeah, so that's pretty much how that came along. And then as we were doing that, then in the group, in the Voxer group, then somebody in December-ish was saying, brought up the topic of what they're cooking for dinner. And we got into a conversation about that. And then somebody was just like, oh, we should do a cookbook. And I don't know if that was like, actually thought that a cookbook would come out of that, but it did. So that was released in June. So yeah, it's just been a lot of fun.
Awesome. I hear you on that Microsoft Word. I've been using Google Docs for so long that when I had to do something in office for work, I'm staring at this document going like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm like, this is so foreign to me at this point. I literally had to play around with it. Oh, I can do this. Okay. Because I was like, I don't know anything that I'm doing right now. It felt so alien, even though growing up, that's all we had was Office.
Right.
But then, once I got on Google and I said, oh, this is nice and clean. And, and then it doesn't have all of the extras that Word has that most people don't use anyway. So it was just fantastic for me. So you talked about the first book. You just mentioned this one. Once you have formatted everything, how does this thing actually get published? Whether it's the e version or the actual physical copy that people can go purchase. I mean, how did you go from that to the finished product?
So after it's all formatted and put into the final format, then I'll PDF it and put it up on our website under release date. So that's like the free version of the book that will be up on our website. Now for the Kindle version, there is Kindle Direct Publishing. So that same PDF file or the same one, you can upload that as well to Kindle Direct Publishing. Out like all conversion, because sometimes it comes out looking funky. And there was this guy I had to hire on Fiverr, especially for the cookbook, because that kind of needs look easy all over the place. I hired somebody to kind of put it into its final form for the Kindle. And that's not expensive at all. It's maybe like $15. Also on Fiverr, I got somebody to design the cover, so maybe about $50. So it's really not that bad. And then to get it into the hardback form, then I took the cover from the Fiverr guy, and I took the PDF version of the document, and I uploaded it to CreateSpace for the Edumatch snapshot. So for that very first book, that one went through CreateSpace. And I had registered Edumatch as a business and put Edumatch as a publisher. So for that, what I learned from the first book is that you need to also buy an ISBN. So that's just that little barcode in the back. So that's so we're definitely going to do that for the next one. The cookbook, I went through a different site. I went through a place called Lulu, Lulu, and the reason being that we wanted it to be full color pictures of recipes that folks had submitted, and we also wanted it to be hardback and glossy, so that if people bought this book and they wanted to cook it, cook these recipes in their kitchen, then if you have like a paperback, then it's going to get all messed up. So we wanted to have it like a glossy hardcover. So CreateSpace doesn't do that like in the way that we needed it to, so we went through Lulu for that one.
Awesome. So I got to talk about, before we go, I want to talk about the Voxel group, because you've mentioned this a couple of times. I've been in there, and there's a lot of different discussions going on and taking place at the same time. What would you say for those individuals who they're like, okay, I'm on Twitter and it took me a while to get here, so now I'm digging it. But Voxer is like, oh no, that man, it might be a little too much, a commitment. you know, so talk to them sort of about the group and like why should they actually participate? What will they be? What will they get out of the discussions?
Yeah, definitely. The Voxer probably my favorite part of Edumatch because you really get to hear like some rich conversation and some great insights. And nothing against Twitter. Twitter is also great, but you're limited in terms of 140 characters. It's only like text, and you can't really get very. I mean, of course, have to themselves, things of that nature. But I mean, again, that's text. So what I like about Voxer is that you can actually hear people speaking, you can hear their voices, you can kind of connect with them on a deeper level at that point, and you know, you get like 15 minutes, and I've heard very few 15-minute boxes, but you know, you get that amount of space if you so need it. So I like to use Voxer on my commute because I drive like one state, I work in another. So back and forth every day, you know, then just listening to the comments that people have left. And I'm in like, I don't even want to know how many groups I'm in. It's a lot. We actually put together a list. A few friends and I put together a list of different Voxer groups. So that's on .org/Voxer. You can see that list of different topics and stuff like that. But I really like the Voxer group because I feel like in there, and when you're talking to like the same people over and over, even in a large group like Edumatch, you really get to know people. Like the first time I met somebody, like I tell this all the time, first time I meet somebody offline that I've been talking to on Voxer for a while, it might feel like we've grown up together or we went to high school together. And oftentimes the second time I see them, then I'm like coming over to their house, sleeping on their couch, you know, stuff like that, just visiting. It's like we're old friends. And because these are the people you talk to all day, every day. And I think like one of the things that's really cool about it, you're able to have conversations that wouldn't work as well on Twitter. Sometimes we get into some really like recently, you know, we've had like some conversations that were very heavy that you don't really have with, you know, these are conversations that you have with your friends, with your family. We're able to have these conversations on how we can support our students, how we can just, you know, enact change, because change is not going to happen from surface level conversations. Um, you know, and I feel like Voxer, that platform, when it's used in that way, then it really kind of lends itself to that. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of it.
Awesome. Now, so before we go, please to tell the people how they can connect with you, get involved with Edumatch, and you know, just really sort of become a part of the family.
Absolutely. Would love to connect with anybody out there. So you can find me on Twitter or Voxer or Periscope at Sarah the Teacher, and that's SarahDateechur. You can find Edumatch on Twitter at edu_match, and you can find us online, edumatch.org. So, and on there's like a get connected drop down menu, and if you go to social media presence, and you'll see like probably about the places we are online. It's a lot of them. So pick your platform, pick your poison. We would love to connect with you and have you join our family.
Awesome. Thank you again, Sarah the Doctor. I'm telling you, I want to see that for being a guest on the show. People, as always, you know, this is going up on my blog, LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, people. This is going up on Twitter. We're on SoundCloud now and iTunes. Just being on iTunes made me feel like I done made it, which I'm still on my dining room table, you know, doing the podcast. You see my living room in the background with the ceiling fan, you know. So as always, people, invest in you, eat at you. Peace.